sound like just opt in. It's just like going to the Jack in the Box and ordering. No, it's not at all. It's very complicated.
Tonight, frustrated wildfire victims in Southern California are being warned they need to act fast to get assistance. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to West Coast Wrap. I'm Alex Savage. Los Angeles Mayor Karen Bass says an executive order that she signed today will expedite wildfire recovery. As Fox 11's Christy Fajardo reports tonight, the mayor is warning that victims who need help have an approaching deadline they need to meet.
We are 10 days away from this deadline.
Mayor Karen Bass back in the fire zone today to tout an executive order to expedite rebuilding and to warn some residents they need to decide now whether they want the Army Corps of Engineers to clear their debris.
We are concerned that over 1,000 residents of the Palisades have neither opted in or opted out. And in a few days, they will lose the opportunity for FEMA reimbursement.
Palisades resident Sue Pasco didn't like what she heard.
They make it sound like just opt in. It's just like going to the Jack in the Box and ordering. No, it's not at all. It's very complicated. The opt-in form takes probably a master's degree to get through it.
But that's not her only frustration.
The problem is no one is taking accountability for the fire or why it got out of control.
This is what's left of her home on Radcliffe, and for months now she's been pressing for answers as a victim and as a journalist for encircling the news, submitting Public Records Act requests for 911 calls and other basic information.
I've sent them to the fire department, and all of my requests for information have come back. Sorry, there's an investigation in place. I think the one question many of us would like to know is exactly how many firefighters from the city were on site during that fire.
She's not alone. Other media outlets have also run into the same issue. We asked the mayor about it.
Right. Well, you know, I will tell you that we do have new leadership at LAFD, and I think some of those requests came in before, so I'll have to look at it specifically.
Fox 11 has also made public records requests seeking texts and emails between Mayor Bass and former Chief Crowley, both leading up to the fire and as it was happening. But our requests have yet to be fulfilled 2 months later. But Bass herself has been accused of dodging public records laws when 2 weeks ago it was revealed her phone had auto-deleted her texts about the Palisades fire. But today, she seemed to indicate she found a way around that.
Yeah, Mayor, you had said that you were working on getting us your deleted messages. What is the status on that?
The status on that is that should be released in the next few days.
But for Pasco, the roadblocks getting answers feel like one more punch in a time of loss.
My father was a shop teacher. He made me a cedar chest. He made all of his girls a cedar chest. In my cedar chest was my wedding dress and my babies, my 3 children. They're adults now. Their baptismal gowns gone.
And that was Fox 11's Christy Fajardo reporting tonight. Earlier today, California Senator Alex Padilla toured neighborhoods that were destroyed by the Eaton fire in the Altadena area. He was joined by fellow Democratic Senator Cory Booker of New Jersey. Both of them are pushing for more federal disaster aid to help communities rebuild. They stress the importance of victims applying for assistance.
We are asking residents to submit their right of entry form, your ROE, the right of entry form, to allow folks, whether it's FEMA, whether it's the Army Corps of Engineers, whether it's EPA or anybody else, to access your property to conduct the debris removal. We try to make it easy. Go to disasterassistance.gov.
Yesterday, California Senator Adam Schiff toured that same area in Southern California. We turn now to an update on a story we brought you earlier this week. 2 ICE detainees who escaped from an immigration detention facility in Colorado. Agents say Adams County Sheriff's deputies have found Joel Gonzalez. They did so this morning. A deputy made that arrest after contacting someone thought to be suspicious. That person turned out to be Gonzalez. ICE agents say Gonzalez will remain in custody pending immigration proceedings. The other detainee who escaped from the facility on Tuesday still remains at large tonight. And this week's escape from that facility has led to a dust-up between ICE agents and local authorities in Colorado. ICE issued a statement saying in part, quote, local authorities were notified immediately and declined to assist with that search. In response, the Aurora police chief put out a statement of his own saying, quote, "The Aurora Police Department is ready and willing to help our federal partners. We need to receive timely and accurate information. That did not happen." The back and forth has riled the city's administration and council member Daniel Jurinsky.
That's a really frustrating and misleading statement. APD wasn't even notified until 5 hours after these individuals went missing. In my opinion, every agency in the state and possibly even neighboring states should have been notified at that exact moment.
ICE says the detention facility is run by Geo Group. That company has not yet responded to requests to comment on the matter. Airports all across the West are continuing to deal with delays and cancellations caused by a major power outage that shut down London's Heathrow Airport today. Here's a live look tonight at LAX, where 8 flights from Heathrow were canceled today. We can also tell you that 5 flights headed to San Francisco were canceled from Heathrow. 6 more were canceled heading to Seattle, and 3 heading to Phoenix were canceled today. Now in London, a large fire at an electrical substation is what knocked out the power at Heathrow early this morning. Officials in the UK are investigating what caused the massive fire. So far, authorities say they found no evidence that it's suspicious. Heathrow won't return to a full schedule until tomorrow, and with so many planes out of position, the impact on air travel could last for days. As many as 200,000 travelers were stranded today.
Auntie everything was very, very angry and upset and just so tired, like having to do that all over, the whole night and just being uncertain. So that was very tiring.
Travel experts say the disruption could cost airlines millions of dollars as they try to rebook passengers and reschedule all of those crews. Now, back in 2021, there was a major power outage at Sky Harbor International Airport in Phoenix. That outage delayed and canceled hundreds of flights from Terminals 3 and 4. There were no lights and the bathrooms were out of order. Arizona Public Service crews were in the middle of a maintenance project when that issue happened with the power. The power was out at the airport for around 4 hours. The White House has awarded a contract for the next generation of fighter jets to Boeing.
The United States Air Force is moving forward with the world's first 6th generation fighter jet. Number 6, 6th generation. Nothing in the world comes even close to it. And it'll be known as the F-47. The generals picked a title.
The Trump administration awarded Boeing the $20 billion contract to build those new fighter jets. The company reportedly beat out Lockheed Martin for that contract. At today's Oval Office news conference, both President Trump and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth said the new jets send a message to America's enemies and allies. Today's announcement comes as Boeing faces a new lawsuit over the death of a whistleblower. The family of a former Boeing employee has filed a wrongful death suit. The family says Boeing subjected John Barnett to a campaign of harassment, abuse, and intimidation, all intended to discourage and humiliate him until he would give up. Barnett died by suicide a year ago after answering questions from attorneys for several days. The 62-year-old worked at Boeing for 3 decades, spending some of that time working as a quality manager at a factory building planes. Coming up tonight here on West Coast Wrap, a confrontation involving a California Highway Patrol officer ends with gunfire. Tonight, the dash camera video that shows what happened in the moments before those shots rang out. Also, President Trump's trade war weighing heavily on Pacific Northwest breweries. They're sharing tonight how they're preparing for what they believe could be a tough road ahead.
And in weather, here's our live camera in Phoenix. Current temperature of 80 degrees. They have warming temperatures, and by early next week, they could be in the upper 90s. We'll update the forecast coming up.
Oh, put the f***ing knife away, man! No, put the f***ing knife away!
Newly released dash camera video shows the dramatic moments before a California Highway Patrol officer shot and killed a man right along a highway. This happened Saturday in Monterey County. Investigators say James Combs was armed with a knife as he approached Officer Felix Prieto. The officer fired his weapon after repeatedly yelling at the man to put the knife down. The Monterey County District Attorney's Office is continuing to investigate this shooting. Some breweries in the Pacific Northwest are worried about the effects of President Trump's escalating trade war on their businesses. Fox 12's Ezra Kaplan spoke with some brewers about how they're handling the new pressure.
Everybody knows the Pacific Northwest is a mecca for beer. A ton of it is made here. But what you might not know is that a lot of the ingredients that go into the beer, well, they actually come from Canada.
Grains and hops, two biggest costs in production of brewing beer.
Matt Sandoval is the co-founder of Living House Beer in Portland and has been closely following the tariff news.
So grain is the biggest impact. I'd say 75 to 80% of the grain that we use in our beers comes from Canada.
Most U.S. grown barley is contracted for large corporations or exported to Mexico, according to the Brewers Association. So a lot of craft brewers end up relying on Canada.
Each time we do a single turn through the brew house, we're using anywhere from 1,000 to 1,500 pounds of grain.
At the beginning of the month, the Trump administration imposed a 25% tariff on all imports from Canada, including the grain needed for brewing and the metal for distributing.
Our cans that are aluminum mostly come from Canada. The steel that we put our beer into for when we put it in kegs, steel comes from Canada.
I asked Sandoval to explain what this all means for his own business calculations.
If we sell this 4-pack for about $14, we're going to make about $4 to $5 on this 4-pack when all is said and done.
And then tariffs, what does that do to this?
That's going to bring our profit margin down to, let's say, $2 to $3.
So it'll cut your profits in half.
Yeah, the only plausible solution is to raise prices.
It's a similar situation at Grains of Wrath in Camas.
Our big concerns are obviously grain and aluminum for cans.
Co-founder Brendan Greenan says he is hearing from his suppliers that price hikes are coming.
I think a lot of the grain producers specifically started kind of loading as much as they could over the border and stocking their warehouses as much as possible to get ahead of it a little bit. So we'll have a little bit of leeway there before those start getting hit.
At this point, are you thinking that there will be impact on what the customers are paying?
I think there will be at some point. What that exactly looks like, I don't know yet.
And it's that unknown that's especially hard for anyone trying to run a business.
Uncertainty is definitely not our friend.
Sandoval says they will try to absorb some of the price changes in the short term, but that it's not a sustainable solution.
Businesses can't take every expense and see their profit margin shrink and continue to operate forever.
Local brewers across the region now trapped in the middle of an international trade war.
Ezra Kaplan, Fox 12 Oregon.
Former Utah Congressman Jason Chaffetz is weighing in now on the discussion around President Trump's aspirations for a third term. It's an idea the president has floated, and recently Trump advisor Steve Bannon suggested that President Trump will run again in 2028.
I think we're way out ahead of our skis on this one. But look, Congress is the one that appropriates money. Congress is the one that has the control of the purses. And I don't think there's any movement. There is, one comment by Steve Bannon, who's prone to saying a lot of different things. I don't think that this is a threat to the country at this point.
Chaffetz, who's now a Fox News contributor, joined TMZ's Harvey Levin and attorney Mark Garagos on the Two Angry Men podcast. He was reacting to recent comments by Steve Bannon, who leaned into the notion of President Trump running for a third term, despite the fact that the 22nd Amendment to the Constitution only allows for 2 presidential terms.
The bottom line is that this is something that has people wondering when Steve Bannon says we're working on trying to figure out a way around the 22nd Amendment right now. And obviously the 22nd Amendment says that no president can serve 3 terms, whether they be consecutive or non-consecutive terms. And obviously in 2028, that would then be Donald Trump's third term.
Repealing the 22nd Amendment would require support from 2/3 of Congress and also approval from 3/4 of the state legislatures in this country. Well, we turn to our weather now, and people headed to Utah ski resorts this weekend are being warned that new snowfall potentially could complicate their travel. Plows have been out all day east of Salt Lake City working to clear the roads. Avalanche mitigation work is forcing some temporary closures as well. For more on the conditions, let's bring in KTVU meteorologist Mark Tamayo. Mark, you are tracking the snow and also a weekend warm-up for a lot of folks across the West.
Yeah, that's right, Alex. Interesting forecast because, yeah, we are talking about the snowfall, and eventually a few spots across the West could be approaching 100 degrees. So just amazing here. As we show you the snow forecast, once again, moving into the Pacific Northwest, parts of Idaho, and also we talked about Utah as well. So there's the coverage showing up as we start off the weekend, approaching the Salt Lake City area throughout the day on Saturday. In Seattle today, lots of clouds, some rain showers. In fact, rainfall over the past 24 hours, about 0.36. Seattle today, 52 degrees. And in San Francisco, it's kind of a sun-cloud mix throughout the day. Temperatures in the upper 50s, right around 59. And then in Phoenix, temperatures around 84 degrees, and they'll definitely warm up into the weekend and into early next week, eventually back up into the 90s. Here is the satellite where you can see once again, just like last night, the main storm track is fixed up here, up in the Pacific Northwest for Portland and Seattle. Just a chance of some showers for Seattle tomorrow, but still some clouds streaming into the region. You can see the active jet stream here, but down in central and southern California, we have a big area of high pressure building in, and that will lead to some warming temperatures also out toward Arizona as well. Current numbers, as you can see, Phoenix is 80 degrees, Las Vegas 73, Reno in the upper 40s, and then some 40s for Portland and Seattle right now, so kind of a bit of a chill in the air. Here is the forecast for tomorrow. The chance of a shower in Seattle. For San Francisco, partly sunny skies, temperatures in the 60s. Actually increasing fire danger out toward Denver. They have a red flag fire warning and gusty winds developing. Temperatures will be in the 60s. And if you want the warm temperatures, we'll have 70s for Los Angeles and 80s once again in the Phoenix area with partly to mostly sunny skies. So here is the forecast model into your Saturday. Once again, some rain showers approaching the north coast of California, and then just some scattered high clouds drifted into the Bay Area. And then we could be tracking some rain showers closer to Oregon for tomorrow afternoon. So your 3-day forecast showing you this, just a chance of some showers in Seattle, but then things can ramp up again as we do move into the Sunday forecast. But the overall theme, as you see these panels, does include some warming temperatures. San Francisco by Monday in the 70s. Los Angeles by Monday will be approaching the 80s. Denver in the 70s by Monday, and look at Phoenix. Temperatures by Monday, that's actually maybe a conservative 95 degrees. There's a chance they could be back up into the upper 90s, maybe 97, 98 degrees. So Alex, we started off talking about some snowfall, also a few areas on this map approaching 100 degrees. Just amazing.
Yeah, that is just remarkable. Yeah. All right, Mark, thank you. The Trump administration is trying to bring down soaring egg prices. Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins announced today in Washington the U.S. is importing eggs from other countries, all in a bid to try to lower prices.
Right now, we've got Turkey and South Korea importing eggs. Just yesterday, I talked to a couple of other countries that will soon begin importing. We haven't signed that deal yet, so I don't want to say who it is. We are talking in the hundreds of millions of eggs for the short term, so not insignificant, but significant enough to help continue to bring the prices down for right now. And then when our chicken populations are repopulated and we've got a full egg laying industry going again, hopefully in a couple of months, we then shift back to our internal egg layers and moving those eggs out onto the shelf.
The price of eggs has now dropped more than $3 this March compared to last month. Coming up tonight on West Coast Wrap, a party atmosphere at Grand Canyon University in Arizona today with two of the school's basketball teams playing in the NCAA tournament. We'll take you there coming up. Also, getting into the mind of your dog. See how research that's being done here in the West is helping pet owners better understand what their dogs are thinking. And we thank you for watching West Coast Wrap tonight. Well, it wasn't the March Madness finish they wanted, but fans of Grand Canyon University in Arizona are still showing they are proud of their teams. A large crowd showed up on campus in Phoenix today to watch the men's team take on Maryland, a game that was played in Seattle. They wound up losing, though, 81-49. The women's team at Grand Canyon University also lost today. They played Baylor in Texas, falling in that game 73-59. to 60. Not the outcome they were hoping for. Well, it's been a while since Seattle hosted a major basketball tournament, but this year, March Madness has taken over the city. Seattle is hosting a total of 6 games this weekend, and it's a big boost for business. Visit Seattle estimates the economic impact will be about $13.5 million for the city. That includes ticket sales, hotel stays, and all the money spent by fans while they're visiting. 18,000 tickets for Seattle's games have already been sold.
This is a fully national and global, even global event. And to have them here, to have these teams who have fought all season to come here in Seattle with their fans, their families, and play at the highest level is something we're really excited to welcome to our city.
Recent events like last year's NHL Winter Classic and the 2023 MLB All-Star Game helped to demonstrate that Seattle can handle these types of events. All of the ongoing preparations happening for next year's FIFA matches helped as well, and improvements to Climate Pledge Arena were likely key to getting the tournament this year. Well, they may be our best friends, but we may not have a great sense of what our dogs are actually thinking. Fox 10's Brian Webb has more now on the 4-year study focused on the feelings of our four-legged friends.
This is the end of a 4-year study by an ASU student, and the conclusion is that we may think we understand what our dogs are thinking, being happy as they wag their tail, but it turns out we may be missing the point. So you think you know what your dog is thinking? Sure you do.
I think so. Yeah, I think like in her eyes, the way she looks at me right in the eyes.
I just think we spend so much time with him. We know what he thinks and what he loves and what he doesn't like. Not much he doesn't like.
But because dogs don't talk, we're basically interpreting their behavior. And according to ASU student Holly Molinaro, we often miss the point.
So our study shows that we don't actually look at the dog, we look at everything around the dog, so the situation.
For her study, Holly shot videos of people interacting with their dogs, doing positive things like showing a leash and negative things like turning on the vacuum cleaner. Then asked the owner what the dog was thinking.
We're just projecting how we would feel in that situation onto the dog. And then we're also just looking at like cues from the situation. And we're not actually looking at the dog.
But then Holly edited out the background, removing the leash and vacuum, or sometimes reversing the positive and negative situations. And that's when things get strange.
And then we showed them the same videos with the full background. And what we saw is then all of a sudden their perception changed, even though the dog was doing the exact same thing.
If Holly is right, humans are influenced by context as much as behavior, a built-in blind spot in understanding the pet you think you know so well. Holly will present her findings in the next few weeks and hopefully earn her doctoral degree after that. And in case you're curious, Holly has a cat. In Phoenix, Brian Webb, Fox 10 News.
All right, fascinating findings there, helping us better understand our relationship with our pets. That does it for West Coast Wrap tonight. We appreciate you watching, and a quick reminder before we head out here, you can stay up to date on all the big stories we're covering across the West at westcoastwrap.com, and stream our shows with the free Fox Local app. Have a great night.